Right, welcome back on board everyone, I'm Evil Tim and this is Let's Play Perfect Dark, so let's get back to playing Perfect Dark. We're off to Chicago today in order to stealth it, so let's get into it, shall we? Here we go, Perfect Agent mode, and we've got to retrieve drop point equipment, attach trace to the limousine, prepare an escape route, create a vehicular diversion, good lord, and then we've got to get into the building itself. It's all go here, isn't it? So, let's get on with it, shall we? Don't harm any civilians, he says. Oh, you'll see what we do about that one.
We suspect the G5 Corporation is just a front for Datadyne and whoever else is involved in this plot.
And by we mean you.
Sandra DeVries is going to be here. I need to know who else is attending and what they discuss.
Spy on them.
By the time you get out, the help I requested should have arrived.
Just who is this help you keep referring to?
Elvis.
Not now, Joanna. Time for radio silence. Good luck.
You wouldn't believe me if I told you, and if you did, you'd probably try to kill me. Okay, so Joanna has to make it over a gate. How will she do this? Maybe she'll open the gate, thus being quiet. No, she'll make as much noise as she possibly can, because she is Joanna. Hey, so wherever she goes, skulks her way along here and there. And then steps out into the rain. So what do you do when you start Chicago? Well, of course, you restart Chicago. Hooray! Right, and then you've got to go around here and beat up some men, because otherwise they'll raise the alarm. We have to beat up these guys to stop them from talking. Chicago's been downgraded somewhat and now consists of just a few alleyways, I guess, with lots of random Japanese writing on them. But anyway, we beat him up, and then we go and skulk our way into this drain. Why are we skulking into the drain? Well, firstly, because it takes advantage of a shortcoming of the AI, and secondly, because it completes one of our objectives. You see, there's a limousine up here, and we have to work out how to open this bloody grating. It's this corner over here, as it turns out. There we go, it fooled me. So, we plant the tracker bug from Goldeneye at the bottom of the limousine. We forget that objective ever existed, because it's a Perfect Agent objective, and so it doesn't matter. But let's get on with that shortcoming of the AI, shall we? Right, now the shortcoming of the AI is, from what I can tell, it actually traces their line of sight from their eyes, which means that when you're in a waist-high area like this, generally they will duck down, aim at you, and then not be able to fire because they can't see you, because their eye level is in the wrong place. So it ends up like shooting fish in a barrel, except that you get to shoot them in the testicles. Hooray! Take this, you fool. Anyway, a bout of wanton violence later, we have completed that bit, and we have shot all of them in a somewhat incompetent fashion I didn't feel like showing you. So now let's go up here and have a quick look at who we are shooting precisely. This fellow here is... let's have a look. An FBI agent. Right, so on the basis of Daniel Carrington's vague supposition, we are apparently perfectly okay with shooting federal agents. I get this odd feeling that if Joanna had been born, say, 60 years earlier, she'd probably right now be at Nuremberg proclaiming she was just following orders. But anyway, here's the most ridiculous thing about this level. If you look over there, you can see a doorway. That is the exit to the level. This level is ridiculously tiny. As a result, they've had to cripple the AI in this level, with the result that about 90% of the time, the AI in this level couldn't hear you if you were walking around in a suit of plate mail at the head of a marching band and killing everyone with a pair of dustbin lids. Of course, the other 10% of the time is the time you have hit record, and then they will be able to hear a mouse fart on the dark side of the moon. But luckily that didn't happen this time, and so we are free to take advantage of their stupidity. Meanwhile, it has blatantly spawned two guards in here in order to try and fool us, so I will fail at sniping because I am incompetent and useless. However, we'll get him sooner or later. Take that wall and that wall. He can't hear us at all. Shoot him, and then he will die with anti-gravity death. What? Chicago is a strange place. Let us not think further on that one. Instead, we'll kill this guy, who is a little more normal in his ways. There we go. He's out of it too. You might notice we're actually creeping up walls here. This is because the only way they could actually allow us to climb up these things is to make them into ladders. The slight problem with that is when you're going up them sideways, you end up stuck on them. So, now what are we going to do? We're going to reprogram this taxi here. Here we go, press that button, and then we'll close this again, so we can reprogram it through a solid wall, because we're great like that. There we go, we successfully downloaded a magic virus into Bruce Willis's car from Fifth Element in order to punish him for not saying yippee-ki-yay in that Die Hard movie that came out recently. And one coughing fit later, the taxi takes off. It takes off into this strange and grimy, gritty sky of drama and probably indigestion from the look of it. It's not a very nice-looking sky at all. So, what's that going to do? Well, it's going to take out this naughty security drone here, which fired upon us earlier. We don't like it for that, and so it will jump slightly to one side, and then the power of terrorism will smite it. Hooray! It's 2000, it's perfectly alright to do that, we're not villainous at all. So, now that we've done that, we will distractigate all of the guards who were standing around by the elevator, who would have failed our mission by pressing a button. Yes, this mission might be called stealth, but the fact is we're being about as stealthy as an artillery battery at the moment. Anyway, let's listen to this. Yeah, that's really the best thing to think about this now, is whether they can get another one and not say who did it.
The car park lift is your only point of interest.
Right, so we don't want them releasing the beast, so we'll blow up that button there. That prevents the level from being failed by these naughty people here. It also screws up the end of level cutscene, actually, because now the door can't close at all. The door is supposed to close in the end of that mission cutscene, but you'll see what it actually does when we get there. Anyway, we'll dodge around this guy using our superior gunplay tactics and blast him with our weaponry. Oh yes. We've nearly finished the level now. There is only one more thing really left to do, which is to do the bit around here, where there is one more FBI agent to blast, and 3 evasive men and a few more men hiding around in places. So we will deal with all of them. Now, you'll also see who these civilians are in a minute, because they're not civilians at all, or rather they're no more civilians than the FBI guys were murdering anyway. So we'll just kill off the one guy who comes out of here first, and then we'll have a quick transition, because we have 2 hidey men lurking around there, trying to be stealthily. I guess maybe they read the mission title and thought it might apply to them. Here you go, because these guys have a tendency to stand around 3 civilians, and you don't want them doing that, so you have to lure them out of here, which takes a while and is boring, so you don't have to see it. That's the first one, and there's the second one. They're now out of it completely. Hooray! Right, there's a couple more guys. There's one guy up here who is scripted to fall, so let us trigger his script. Here he goes, falling like a man does, onto that guy who doesn't really react to it at all. I guess he's a very lightweight man who fell on him. Okay, so you've got 2 more guys up here. Now, one of them will always be on this platform here. The second one is either on that platform there, or he's down there. It depends on which will screw you over the most. But in this case, he's up there, so he's out of it too. And now let me show you who these people are, who we cannot kill because they are civilians. They are... let's whack him. Here we are.
Either those locked up doors will do as an escape route.
Yes, thank you, Joanna. Anyway, they're CIA. Now, far be it for this to get all political, but when I think of paragons of innocence, the CIA aren't exactly on the top of my list. I guess maybe it's just that Rare have heard of the US Constitution and their constitutional terms of reference, which the CIA and FBI use, in which the CIA are only allowed to take over other people's countries and not their own, so the feds are obviously the bad guys here. Anyway, we've laid a remote mine there, we're not allowed to set it off, that would be naughty, so we must leave it there for the next mission. Now, there's one more thing we can get here. There's a couple of secrets in this level I haven't shown you yet, so let's get on to them, shall we? Let's see, you push that thing over there, and then you blow this up, thus demonstrating the extremely inflammable ventilation system of whatever the hell building that is. Now the upshot of that is that you get a briefcase, oddly undamaged, which has our bomb spy in it. It's someone else's bomb spy, but Joanna's not going to admit to that. Hell no. So, what can we do with the bomb spy? Well, we can send the bomb spy down into this here basement club place. Here, we'll let it drop down the stairs, like this. And then we'll blow everyone up, because we are unfriendly towards them. Here we go. Basically, this is just a grenade on a stick. Or a grenade on a cam spy, if you prefer. There are 2 ways to get into the club down here, which has already been commented on in the thread. You can either try to create enough noise that the guy inside the club reacts to you, which usually doesn't work. It doesn't work this time. Or you can do it the other way, which I will show you in a second, using a different game, because it's rather suicidal to do it in Perfect Agent mode. Now, the other thing here is, if the FBI agents are actually allowed to complete their calls, they will set off the alarm. That will result in lots of men with magnums coming out of all of these little areas here, which have explosive devices in them for some reason. That one does, and that one does. You might also notice the security robot is completely ignoring us, but that's because we're cloaked. This is also the game I got the screenshot of it in, you see. So anyway, we drop down here, and then we have to disarm this fellow here. This fellow is scripted so that he will now run into the club for help. Now, the reason I didn't try to do this on Perfect Agent mode is that generally you will try to shoot the 2 guys there, and you will end up shooting this guy as he runs into the club instead. So anyway, this is a weapon that we're not actually going to use properly in the game at all. This is the Cyclone. It is a nice little submachine gun. Unfortunately, it's the worst weapon in the only level it's in, so it's not going to see much use at all. So you'll probably see it's basically the front end of a P90 turned backwards with some sort of insect attached to it. It has a very odd reload, and it has an even more odd secondary fire mode, which discharges its entire magazine. Now that would be good, except that it doesn't discharge its entire magazine. It doesn't spawn 50 shots at all, so what you basically end up doing is wasting a whole lot of ammo for nothing. It's useless, so we will ignore that. We're going to ignore the whole gun, in fact. So, anyway, this is the sort of basement stripty club place. You've got a dancing pole there, and in here you have a toilet, because you've got to have one of those. We picked up 2 Falcon 2s with scopes. That's the bonus of coming down here, and there is some cheese in that toilet, which is unsanitary. Anyway, that door's locked because we haven't set off the alarm in our main game. Let's walk in here, and we have finished the mission. Hooray! Joanna turns around, points her gun at a wall, a vicious wall, no doubt. Walks into the car park lift, and nothing happens. The door's supposed to close, except that we sabotage that. Anyway, so now we have completed Chicago. We're going to move on to the G5 building in a moment, but firstly, in YouTube this will be a separate video. There is going to be a little bit of a bonusy thing, which will show us various things in this level and the previous one.